WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
Come on, Kari. Hey, what you feeling out there? From the heart, everybody. Wave your hands, y'all. Hey, now,
Good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris. Let me thank everyone for joining us this morning. Good morning, Keon. Good morning, Carvey. Good morning, everyone. Let me do this real quick so I can get to my guest because I know he has to go. Yesterday, I took my godson, Jimmy, to register to vote, and he voted yesterday. So let me do a shout out to the good folks over there at the early voting location there on 60th and Capitol. Oh my God, what a great group of people, from the security guard. It was just a great experience, and they celebrated him being a first-time voter. And so we went in. Now, I told him we probably should have got you in February because there was a whole lot on the ballot for him to vote. But folks, I'll do it real quick. Can I do it? Give me like a minute. When I was a sophomore in high school, those of you who remember the late Orville Pitts came out to my high school. He was working with a group, Democrats for Nixon. But I'll never forget because that would have been the first election that 18-year-olds could vote in. There are a lot of schools where when the kids turn 18, they're getting them registered to vote. And the only thing I guess I'm saying is if you're a high school here and those kids are 18, let's get them registered to vote. The other thing is I think we have to do a greater job because, and I understand at 18, 19, he doesn't know a lot of the elected officials. And so I think we need to do a better job of education on that level. With that said, we're joined in studio by Mr. Coleston Morgan. He's with City Forward Collective, and we're here to talk about the upcoming NPS referendum.
Although I will say an old civics teacher, so
you taught civics?
Yeah, so get those 18-year-olds registered to vote. That was my birthday present to every kid in my classroom was their voter registration card.
And I was telling about interviewing my coach, and he was also our social studies teacher. But anyway, the irony is that to allow 18-year-olds to vote had everything to do with the Vietnam War and other things. Mm-hmm. But the group that's least likely to show up to vote are 18 to 34-year-olds, right? Statistically, demographically. Tell us a little bit about you real quick.
Yeah. So I'm a kid from Milwaukee, actually 52nd and Capitol. So I'm glad that voting center is up there now.
Okay.
I've left for a few years, was an educator down in New Orleans, was a district administrator, been back home for about 5-6 years now, and have just taken the helm at City Forward Collective.
Proud grad, a proud Wildcat. He's university student.
I am a USM Wildcat.
Yeah, and part of the Crimson.
Indeed.
Harvard College?
Indeed, yes. Harvard, and then I did some grad work in Chicago as well.
Okay. University of Chicago?
Yes.
Of course.
Had to get to the South Side for a little bit.
Real quick I didn't realize this. Thank you, Gerard Randall. Gerard Randall told me that the University of Chicago was affiliated as a Baptist school because Rockefeller had given money to them when they were struggling back in the early 20th century.
Yeah, and they got some financial issues now too. But yes, yeah, that's the history.
Okay. Wow. You didn't study econ, because that's Milton Friedman, right? That is.
It is. I was a grad student there, so I did public policy, but he kind of floats all over the place. I actually did teach civics and economics, so
okay,
a little familiar.
Who's my other guy? Thomas Salwell was there for a while.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. So we're talking about the referendum, $252 million permanent. So. Talk a little bit about the referendum. Can I say, this is what I found amazing, and I didn't realize this, that there has been such a significant decrease in the population.
Mm-hmm.
I think at one point we were at over 90,000 students in MPS.
Yep.
And now we're down to around 65,000.
65,000. If you're just looking at schools that the district operates, it's actually dropped below 60,000. It's about 32% decline.
So we're looking at that, and I guess the question, and I don't know if you can answer this, is this a structural deficit, which means that in terms of basic operational kind of cost, that we're $252 million in the hole in terms of a structural deficit, or is this to address things to enhance, to provide things that right now, because of budget constraints like band or other things, can't happen?
I mean, I can only answer some of it because part of the problem is the district hasn't put their work out, so it's hard to know exactly what's going on. We know the district has some financial challenges. They've, you talked about the enrollment declines, that's led to decreases in funding. They've gotten a bunch of money for COVID recovery. Sort of if you run up all the money they've gotten, plus that referendum, the last
COVID has a sunset on it.
Yeah, COVID has a sunset on it. That sunset's coming quickly. I think that's
Next
why
year.
we're having this conversation now. They did get a referendum right at the start of COVID in 2020. That was $87 million per year. But even with that, the enrollment declines. And honestly, you mentioned how many fewer kids they've got. They're still running the same number of schools. And so a lot of those schools are, half empty, in some cases, I think they've identified 40 buildings that they would say are under capacity. So some of this is structural. Some of this is about the end of that COVID money. Some of this is about trying to continue and enhancing some of the things that they said they did last time. What's missing from the conversation is how much is what. And the other piece that we think is missing is how is any of this going to result in more students, period, more Black students in particular, reading, writing, doing math on grade level.
We were having a conversation. First of all, I again, because I'm not an educator by profession, and so I just happened, as we were having a conversation, we're just looking at student proficiency, and where we were. Wisconsin, surprisingly, in terms of student proficiency in math and science, math and English, is in top 10 in the country in terms of that proficiency. But what amazed me was very few school districts are at 50%.
Yeah,
so this seems to be, now maybe that's the normal.
It's not, or at least it shouldn't be. We shouldn't accept it.
Okay,
but as a state, I think it's mid-30s overall across the state that are proficient.
I think some like 40. Yeah,
it's somewhere there. It might cross 40 every once in a while.
Right.
But in Milwaukee, at MPS, it's 9.9 in math. I think it's like 13 in English.
Okay.
And different set of numbers, but if you look at it compared nationally, right, just look at Milwaukee against other big urban school districts like us. For Black students, absolute worst performance. For all students, we're good, in some cases, 2 grade levels behind where kids in other places should be. We don't talk about this a lot, right?
So is that a resource issue?
Not in full. Certainly there are some resource challenges. Last time around, there was lots of conversation about how much MPS is getting versus suburban school districts. Kudos to them. They said last time they wanted to get up above the suburban average. They're up above the suburban average. At some point, it might be about a resource allocation question that we talked about all those schools that are half empty, but it's also about a focus question, right?
Yeah, but we're also talking about, and which is an additional cost to education, at over 21% of MPS's student body is special needs.
And certainly there's,
and so there's an added cost.
There is an added cost. And look, if there's a part of the case where I would say the district is right on point, the state has underfunded special education for a long time. We've been up there saying they need more money. They've been up there saying they need more money. You can talk to a district any district in the state, and they would tell you 33, 34, 35%. There's work to be done there. So to be sure that that's true. I would say half of the kids in our city are not in the MPS school anymore. And those students are all right, like those rates are also high. And so part of the challenge we have here is sending the money to the district doesn't serve half of our students.
Well, that's the rub. And and there are people out there. I love now how it's being framed, where we put MPS or public education in with choice education, with charter education, and we said that we should have these alternatives, right? Many school districts push back on that so-called alternative because they understood that when those students are not at MPS, that's money, because that money goes with them to let's say just choice, certainly.
Mhm.
And then charter schools a little bit different, right? Because they're still public
Yep.
education, depending on who does the charter. But first of all, I don't see where, and maybe you can share, I don't know what your feelings is on this. I don't see the benefit of us creating another basically public school system when we allow people then to take money and then go to a private school. I don't see how that's enhanced. It hasn't made MPS any better. And then some of these choice schools are some of the lowest performing schools in the state. So how do we, and money is going there.
Yeah, look, we got challenges across the city. I believe that we should have school options, and also it's not new in Milwaukee, right? I was at university school. My sister is Rufus King, right? Like, we've been doing this as long as I've been alive, and we're now at a point where it's about 50-50. About half of our kids are educated by the district. About half of our kids are going to charter and private schools and other choices. And there are still some kids enrolling in suburban districts too. I don't think we're going to take that back, nor do I think that we should. I do think we got to be honest about the fact that across the board, there's work to be done to make sure more kids are reading, writing, and doing math on grade level. We're having this conversation about MPS because they've put $250 million on the ballot, but there's a conversation to be had across the board about why are, across all of these types of schools, how do we get more kids reading, writing, doing math, ready to thrive, ready for life?
But MPS is not unique.
No,
there are 90 plus school funding referendums on the ballot in April. We had about 5 or 6 on the ballot in February. So I guess it's a resource issue when we look at non-large urban school districts where people are dealing with issues of money.
Look, MPS is not unique in some ways. It is unique in others. As a district, it is funded, if you sort of count all the federal money all in, maybe upwards of 18,000, 19,000. If you just look at the state and local dollars, it's above the state average. It's above, like I said, the regional averages. Yes, a different size and need of student population that they're serving. I don't want to run past that, to be sure, but it's also resourced at a different level than many other districts across the state already. And I think the question becomes, should residents, right, be asked to foot more of that bill, or should we be having a conversation about special education at the state level? Should we be having a conversation about some of the other resources that need to happen? Should we be having a conversation across the city about what's the right number of schools for a city that has fewer kids now than it did 20, 30 years ago? And how do we make sure that all those school choices are good school choices wherever they are?
You're listening to, that's pretty high. You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
March is a great time to honor women who have paved the way for their community, and Martha Love has done just that. As a founder, community activist, political organizer, and labor leader in Milwaukee County for over 37 years, Martha has shown her love for Milwaukee and passion for seeing the community thrive. Be sure to celebrate her story during Women's History Month.
This moment in women's history was brought to you by U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank has more than 50 locations in the greater Milwaukee area. Visit usbank.com to find a location near you. U.S. Bank, a member of FDIC.
The Trump economy was a disaster for Black America. He prioritized the wealthy and big business, not us, giving them tax breaks while we got left behind. Under Trump, hundreds of thousands of Black Americans lost health insurance in the middle of a pandemic. And don't forget the division, the violence, and disrespect we faced while he was in charge. Now, he's coming after our voting rights. And if he's president again, Trump vowed to be a, quote, dictator who would get revenge. We can't go back. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are working hard for Black America. They sent $1,400 cash relief checks when they were needed most. Our wages are up. We've got millions of new, good-paying jobs. And the cost of insulin is capped at $35 for seniors. There's more to do, but it's clear that on the economy, Black America is getting ahead with President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for President.
Hi there, I'm Deslyn Smith, the Executive Director of United Garden Homes Incorporated, the proud sponsor of the Nayumbu Opendo Show, broadcasting on WNOV on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Poverty, illicit behaviors, drug abuse, and addiction have been affecting the quality of life for decades, not only in the Garden Homes neighborhood, but within disenfranchised communities throughout our country. United Garden Homes Incorporated is a neighborhood association-based, nonprofit organization committed to supporting individuals and families to see beyond their current situation by way of education in mental health, substance misuse, and violence prevention, as well as with the utilization of resource advocacy to empower and promote healing in our community. For more information, contact United Garden Homes Incorporated at 414-554-5538 or via email at info@ughinc.org.
Hi, this is Sandra Silk, inviting you to tune in to All That Jazz. Join me every Tuesday and Thursday. Enjoy jazz from yesterday and today from 5 till 8 p.m. right here on 860 WNOV 106.5 FM The Voice.
You're listening to WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee. Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM.
Welcome back to Community Voice, and we're joined in the studio by Mr. Celestin Morgan, who pointed out to me that you are from
60th Capital.
No, but your people are from
the West Indies, Jamaica. Yes,
today is
indeed.
West Indian Day. I had Ray Indian here. Use Virgin Islands.
I'm gonna get me some curry goat after this.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I was listening to it. We have a lot of Jamaican restaurants here. Is that many Jamaicans here?
Yeah, we deep.
Yeah, you deep. I look every time there's a new Jamaican restaurant. It's just like, do we have that many Jamaicans here?
Mm-hmm.
So there is opposition, to this referendum. Now, just just kind of keep it. There are many people. Any kind of tax increase is a non-starter.
Mm-hmm.
But what is some of the opposition? Why are people so? I'm going to use. Sorry for that modifier. Why are people opposed to this?
Look, lots of different reasons. I can speak about what our concerns are, right?
Okay.
And our concerns about
our concerns being
City 4 Collective as an organization, right? We're concerned about the lack of a plan. We're concerned about a lack of a plan to address the fact that 9 out of 10 students in the district aren't reading and doing math on grade level. We're concerned about the lack of a plan. So for all of this tax increase that we're talking about, the district has said it's not going to solve their long-term financial problems, 5, 6, 7 years maybe. And, on the record, they've said they might be coming back for more, right? We just did this in 2020 at 87 million. We're doing it again now at 252 million. At some point, there's got to be a solution that solves long term. And we're saying before we go forward with another tax increase,
more state funding.
It could be more state funding. I think it's probably also some changes on the district side, on the spending side. It's probably some of both, honestly. But we got to have that answer at some point, and we're not even having that conversation, right? The district itself, mind you, right? They just did their strategic plan. It says right sizing is one of their goals. But then when you ask them where the details behind that, they might be coming in the
because
fall.
it's not that easy when we say right sizing. We put such an emphasis on neighborhood schools.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you're closing my school, this is what they're dealing with in Kenosha right now, right?
Sure.
Where they had to go in and consolidate schools. We do it, we being from that macro kind of management, fiscal management. But for the people on the ground, when it impacts their children who are in the schools, you get a different discussion.
Oh, look, I understand it fully. So I was a district administrator in New Orleans for a number of years after Katrina. It was literally my job to go in and say, this is a school that we're not going to renew. We're looking at. So I understand it deeply and personally. And I'm not saying it flippantly. I am saying at some point there are 30,000 fewer kids in the city than there were before. Can the rest of us continue to pay indefinitely more, either because the state hasn't picked up its share or because the district hasn't done the work to figure out what does that look like? And we got school buildings in some cases that are like 3-4 blocks away from each other. I'm like in the same neighborhood. I grew up right off Roosevelt over by St. Joe's, right? You got 53rd Street School, you got Sherman Multicultural. They're 4 blocks away. I know you can walk from one to the other because my bus stop was at one of those schools each year. Both of those schools are under enrolled. And at least by the district's count, you could kind of fit the combined enrollment of either one of those schools.
Right. But then
we have building. So
we have another cost though. Okay.
Yeah. So right,
we have to maintain those buildings if we can't sell them. And based on the law right now, people who get first shot at those buildings, I don't know if it has changed, would be people who were alternative education to.
No, that's still the law. Yep, it's charter and private schools still have the right of first refusal. Again, this is not just an MPS problem on the enrollment side either. You talk to charter school, you talk to private school leaders, they're feeling that pinch too. There are just fewer kids in the city, and nothing in the data tells us we're going to have more kids coming anytime soon.
Well, because America's at zero population, as matter, we're at negative growth right now.
Well, and look, 2010 to 2020 in Milwaukee, I think we had 18,000 fewer Black children under age 18, right? This is the conversation we need to have. All we're saying is before we go out there and tax the way to try to keep we're trying to keep this thing together, but there's a bigger conversation to be had, and some of it's more money, but some of it's also the need to think about, right? Like I said, even the district has said they got a right size. It's just a matter of which comes first, the chicken or the egg.
Kind of, if I can. It seems to be right now that the students and parents are in the middle of a pretty pitched battle between MMAC and the MTEA. I think it's so it has to be some middle here, right?
Yeah, you say,
I mean, I understand.
I say you say they're in the middle. I say it like I think there's a conversation going on up here.
Okay,
and then on the ground, right? You talk to parents, you talk to families, right? They understand these realities. They're dropping their kids off at school every day. They see the buildings are half empty, right? They understand students by and large. It's not that they don't like their school. It's not that there aren't great educators in their building, but they're not seeing the outcomes that they believe they were going to see, again, across the board, right? I think parents actually have a pretty clear-eyed view about this, right? They're really pragmatic. They want to make sure that their kid's doing well. They're not trying to hurt other kids either, but they also know they got to balance that against everything else they're trying to take care of in their lives, right?
So when
like housing, like making sure the groceries, the gas is filled, right? That's work we all got to do every time we're looking at our household budget, right? I got 2 kids, and my wife and I are sitting down at the end of every month figuring out, okay, how we're going to pay for this, how we're going to pay for that, where are we going to make the trade-offs? That's the same question we're asking here.
There was a court case in Michigan, and I don't know if it was around affirmative action or diversity, and this was a few years back. It said that, in effect, that all we have to do is allow access to education, right?
Mhm.
We don't have to assure an outcome. I'm trying to figure that out in terms of, if we value an educated population, and the vast majority of students are going to be in public schools, do we have an obligation to make sure that those public school systems are properly resourced in order to deal with the needs of the students that they serve?
Properly resourced, yes.
Okay.
But I also think that
So maybe the
but-
rub
but-
is what is proper.
Well, one of the rubs, but the second rub is we got to make sure that those resources actually translate to outcomes, right? I'm thinking about something that President Obama said earlier on in his tenure, and I wish in many ways we were back in that conversation, right? More money alone doesn't yield better outcomes.
Right.
It's part of the equation. You're not hearing me say let's never have a funding increase. The special education conversation at state level is a fair one to be had. There might be a conversation to be had about what's needed locally, but before we can have that conversation, we got to have the information to make an informed plan. And that's the ask right now, at least on our part. I can't speak for anybody else.
So has MPS been resistant to providing that plan?
I think you'd have to ask them. Last time when
Well,
they
you
went,
said you don't have a plan. So
here's what I would say. Last time when they went up in 2020,
Right.
they put out a budget, right? They said we're going to spend on art teachers, music teachers. The goal is to get above the statewide average. Here are the positions they're trying to fill, and here's how they're going to work. I don't know that plan got to some of the things I'd want to see.
because they had to make an adjustment, right? COVID.
Well, not even before we get to COVID. I'm just on the plan for the moment, right?
Okay.
They said what they were going to do, and we can now come back and say, okay, there are more art teachers, there are more music teachers. They didn't hit 100% of those positions. I think about a quarter of them are still unfilled. They haven't spent all of that money, actually. There's about, they've been running $40-50 million surpluses, but we can at least see all of that and say, okay, they said they're going to get above the suburban average. They did that. They said they're going to hire 350 positions. Here's 260. They didn't tell us what was going to happen in terms of academic outcomes. And I agree, COVID absolutely is a part of that. So I'm willing to sort of let that be water under the bridge. But what I am saying is, if you're going to come back for 3 times as much and you haven't even spent all the first dollars, the message
But that's
can't
going to
just
be over 5 years, right?
But once it's in place, it stays on forever. It's not a 5-year and done situation.
There's no sunset on it?
There's no.
The sunset is when the money runs out.
There is no sunset on it. I'm not saying this would happen, but that district could have 0 students and they still get to tax $252 million more. That's the way it's written.
Okay.
And before we do that, how is this going to either solve the district's financial issues? How is this going to improve academic outcomes? I don't think these are unreasonable questions to be asking.
But we're in a situation where the state is sitting on a $7 billion plus surplus. Yesterday, I had a conversation with Secretary of State Galuski.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that her office administers that education trust fund.
Mm-hmm.
When buildings are sold and whatever, it goes into this trust fund, and that's like $1.4 billion, I think she said. I don't, for some of us in the city, we feel like there's a level of hostility in terms of our needs. And I think MPS is kind of one of those things. Should there be an audit done to see where MPS is in terms of the deliverables?
I think it'd be a good idea. And let me go back to the other part. You said, I don't think you're wrong about the state. Again, I'm not speaking for everybody else. I can speak for City 4 Collective. I can speak for myself. Like, we've had conversations about funding for all kids in Milwaukee. Last year we spent a lot of time and energy talking about the other half of the students in the city and their need for more resourcing and finding those resources from the state. If it's special education, if it's, English language learners, there are certainly areas where the state needs to step up. I think there's even a good conversation to be had about what the right base funding level is for all students in the city. Part of the challenge is we can't have that conversation at the state in a clean way because the state comes back and says, but you've got 40 buildings that have less than 70% of their or 80% of the students in it, right? Like it's kind of, but we can't get to the clean conversation about, are you doing your part at the state?
But the state can put conditions on that funding, just like they put conditions on the revenue sharing. where you say you need to figure out what you're going to do, consolidate, and then figure out because there's a cost for us maintaining empty buildings.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, and the great example they get is all the money that has been spent on, what's my school, right? Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think over 4 or 5, a number of years, but it was close to $8-9 million. Yeah. That's just to maintain the building that nobody's in.
Look, that's the empty building thing is a real issue, right? And I think the law.
Well, that'll be exacerbated once we begin to combine schools, right?
It might be, but again, it's one, that cost to maintain even that empty building is going to be less than the cost to try to staff it and operate it with 100 kids in it.
Okay.
Right. There's still some savings to be had there, even in the near term. Yeah. Do we need to have another, part of this plan? Does it need to be a more comprehensive plan about how are we going to use these school facilities? How do we repurpose them? How do they not just blight, empty buildings with boarded up windows in our community? Absolutely, yes. But all that's part of the planning that we haven't done yet that we need to do, right? Like, these are tough questions. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying it's the work we have to do. And $252 million in the tax isn't going to stop us from having to still have these same conversations. So let's have a plan in place and then figure out what the dollar amount we actually need is and make sure that we're appropriating in the right way.
Mr. Coleston Morgan of the City Ford Collective. Thank you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Man, it really means you got to come back, man.
I will look forward to it.
Appreciate you. If we can, you're listening to Community Voice. I'm going to take a real quick break. And no, I'm not going to do a break right now. I'm going to, here we go. Who we got? Who we got?
Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM.
No, I was listening to the keys, man.
You better say something.
Yeah, listen, man.
Song? Name of the song is Dumb People.
Oh, my anthem.
Jackson Mathon, David Rockford, and Harry Pope. Yeah, I'm hold on to that.
May I ask a question?
Ask away.
I mean, and you have so many skills and gifts. Why can't we ask the DJs? Why can't we make requests to DJs?
Well, last Friday, Quabba and I had a bunch of DJs on. Mm-hmm. And one day, we had Sandra Hill, Silk, and Debo in here talking about that. Because a lot of times, like, I'm not a DJ. I play music. I'm a jock. but there's an art to actually DJing, keeping the crowd moving, and having the flow of music. Because you can play the right song at the wrong time and mess the whole flow up. So a lot of times there's a routine that's been well practiced and well rehearsed. And it's not that you can't give a request, it's not going to show up when you want it. But a lot of times DJs work so hard at their art, there's a performance going on. That's like telling Michael Jackson or something, or an artist you pay to see, hey, play this, sing this one. They got it in their rotation to make it flow the way they need it to flow.
But we come for the hits.
No, you come for the artist.
No, I come for the hits.
But you come for the artist.
The average person goes for the hits.
No, but here's the thing. You think that.
We don't want to hear that new stuff.
But see, here's the thing. Their tour is not selling because of what you thought. Their tour is selling because of what they know.
They're trying to sell an album.
Well, sometimes they just, some artists, once again, I got to tell you, Doc B, the DJ Doc B,
right?
You know, I've heard people be like, dog, he too old. That's dude's life. And when you see him, he don't never want to stop. And he'll rock a party to where he's got his routine.
No question.
And there's some folks that you pay the DJ and you be like, you did what? You know, I'm not never paying you again. But once again, they talked about that on the last Friday show on the Porch with Carr. This is work. This isn't just, it's not always on the fly.
But you working, I'm listening.
No, what I'm saying
is, but you need me to listen.
No, here's the thing. They just need to move the crowd. Sometimes what you want may be because you and your feelings about something, and you want to hear something that everybody else don't want to hear. Like they said at 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock, there's a certain song one DJ said he plays. Because at 12 o'clock, I don't care who in the building, this is where we finna go. Because this is what they come to see at 12. You know, so
I just wondered, we
work hard to do what we do.
Okay.
You know, you were going to DJ a jazz show. Till you find out how much work it was, you admit it.
Yeah, and I didn't hear anything about paying me more money.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't hear no more money. And I was like, well.
I mean, for instance, when I come in here and play this for you guys, you know, I've spent days, weeks, sometimes months getting a pool together.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, because I'm able to, I kind of understand the flow of each individual plus the time of day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you coming on at 7, sitting in for Michelle is different from you at your regular time.
Right.
Because
I'm kicking the day off.
But the air and the atmosphere is very different. So it takes a lot of time and hours at the end of the night, you know, 2, 3 in the morning, setting up shows. So for you to be like, you know, so-and-so said he want to dedicate. All right, I got you.
But it's my baby.
Mm-hmm. I got you. So
okay, now April 8th is coming up.
What's that?
1 month
from Carvey's birthday.
From Carvey's birthday, April 8th. April 8th is my wedding anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So do I get a couple of songs just for my wedding because it's such a special day?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even like the way you said mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean,
I like the way you said like yeah. I hear you. I
already know.
Then you love when you people say I hear you, but they really not hearing you.
I mean, I hear you, and I know, and I know you know what to play.
I hear you.
But no, see what Keith to do is he has 7 people texting him talking about play for fam. No, we know,
well, I do every now and then. Some of my peeps will say, "Hey, can you do?" Because you got to end with the DJ, and I be trying to tell him the producer. I don't really. He disrespects me. I come in, I make a suggestion. He poo-poos the suggestion, so I get in my feelings.
Is it just me or most DJs?
All of them.
I'm not a DJ.
All of them.
I'm not a DJ. Hey, quick, Barry Gordy said they was at the Christmas party with Marvin Gaye. And Barry said, I made the mistake of making a suggestion of how I felt it should have been. He said, I never made that mistake again. And that's the boss.
Well, you know, but Motown did a democracy when it came to like what songs they thought were hits. It seems that Barry was about 50-50. Some of them he picked. He was very opposed to what's going on. Mm-hmm. I mean, him and Marvin Gaye went back and forth. He said, okay, all right, you put it out there. Well, what's going on now is considered the greatest album of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we can be wrong. You know,
and here we talking about drinking at a party. Well, right. Marvin on the piano talking about playing like this. Marvin. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I know that, you know, and I can tell you, because you can be wrong on something. I'll never forget back in the day, this little sandwich shop started. And I was such a Suburbia. I still am a Suburbia guy. And Suburbia is still open.
Mm-hmm.
Or they reopened. And so this company started. And I said, they'll never make it. Come on. There's only Suburbia.
Was it Cousins?
It certainly was Cousins.
I remember Cousins opening. The cousin subs. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How wrong could you be, and making predictions on it will never work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing about aging, that you should be open to new and different ideas.
So here's the difference, though.
Because we get so stuck. Oh, this was no, dude. The world done changed now.
But then here's the difference, because I remember the Cousins opening
Mm-hmm.
and Suburbia fading,
Mm-hmm.
but not realizing that Cousins had already been open for almost
They opened
20 years.
72.
Yeah, they had already been open. So it wasn't that it was something new. It was expanding. So it was already winning, so.
Yeah, just and I think because when we talk about, and I know that the demographic that listens to my program tend to be a little bit older, but I think youth is a matter of mind. It's a mindset. I mean, there's physical youth.
I'm gonna say, don't let it fool you.
Yeah, there's physical youth.
Homer calls them Toys R Us adults.
Yeah, but what I mean by in terms of being open to new ideas, I get on some of y'all about your cell phones. Many of you all, I don't need this, I don't need that. And now you're addicted to your cell phone. You see people, it looks like, Carby go, yep. It's like that phone is surgically attached to your hand, right? You see people coming in. But a few years back, there were people pushing.
And they still wasn't wrong, because now they can't remember a phone number. They lack a whole lot of stuff. They was just trying to fight the feeling, trying to be right in the world of wrong. So they said the mark of the beast. It wasn't going to be burned on you. It's in your hand. You can't let go of it. You can't keep your eye off of it. Didn't he catch your hand in your head? 666. You don't think about it. So
well, I think
trying to fight what.
But I think that we should be open.
Mm-hmm. Wide open, huh?
Well, I ain't gonna say wide open. I'm just saying.
Guess what? You're wide open now.
No, I think but that's part of it. You gotta go to the extreme to get back to that middle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that, and I was saying this yesterday when Ray Nitty was on, and you were talking about. I said, do not underestimate the status quo.
Right.
There are a lot of people who say they won't change. They don't really want change. They want different. They don't want change. They want it to look different, but we're so comfortable in how we live and how we've gotten to this point, and we feel like we okay because look, I got here. But I think if I look, I just, that's why I love children's church so much. I mean, that's why I love youth ministry so much, because I'm listening to not only the future, I'm listening to the present right now. And wow, how I'm looking at the world, Harvey is not kind of looking at the world the same way. And I don't know if they're right or if they're wrong. 414-444-5250. Bye. When the morning
so
comes.
I got this thing, and there is a
the saints.
There is a intergenerational talking conversation that we're having on Saturday.
Okay, what time?
I don't necessarily. I gotta find the flyer. Because they moved the location to Safe and Sound off of Leon Terrence, and I got something I'm supposed to do this weekend. But I always say, we have to realize that we older individuals, we older individuals are we're the computers. The longer you live, the more data you have. So we are the computers. We are the storage. We have the knowledge. But just like any piece of technology, we need to update.
Yeah.
We need to be updated, or else our systems are flawed. So the data, the storage, the truth, the information actually is within the elders, but the updates to how to perform is in the youth.
Break? We're at break or?
No, we weren't.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Usually happens around 55.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm just saying. We got it's third. Is it third Thursday?
I do this every day. I kind of know how this works.
Every day.
So I just be like, stay on point.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Don't let anybody else take you off task.
Oh man, stay on point.
Yeah.
All right, man. It's gonna snow.
When it's cold outside,
it's gonna snow.
You gonna snow? You got a song for it?
Nah. It's gonna rain. Come on, y'all. You're listening to Community Voice. I know. You know what it is. Ooh. And you know what we have not seen here lately?
See, now, you see that now he want to talk. He just paused for a long minute. Now got the music playing. He ready to stop. But go ahead.
Batesville Caskets. We have not seen Batesville Caskets.
Trust me, they here.
I know they here.
Yeah, they making a lot of drops.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Hopefully I'll be driving past the factory in a couple of days.
Serenity Funeral Home. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Hello, Milwaukee. I'm Mr. Debo, the program director here at the all-new 860 WNOV. On January 8th of this year, WNOV underwent a relaunch, complete with a fresh logo, branding, format, and new shows. Now you can even stream our talk shows on YouTube and Facebook. We're always striving to enhance your listening experience, and now your watching experience too. As we continue to work on improving, there may be more changes in our lineup. Here's a few of the changes we've made. We've added Sandra Silk and All That Jazz on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Chris Heavy Levy on Saturdays with Saturday Backtracks and more. Flavor Fix with foodie Samantha Starr. How about Pillow Talk with me, Mr. Debo? On the Porch with Quad with Quabanon Anton Nixon. The Difference with Will Martin. Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices, Dr. Kwaku and Naumbo Mpindo. Money Talks with attorney Carl Plez. Brought to you by Columbia Savings and Loan. The Friday Night Jukebox Party with DJ Kevin Buchanan. St. Mark's Lutheran Church with Pastor Marty from 9 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. Community Outreach Clinics, Community Heartbeat with more to come. But rest assured, of course, we have our staple shows that have not changed and will not change. Say Something Real with Michelle Bryant. Community Voice with Keith Parris. International Roots Rock Reggae Meltdown with Ross Joel. The Blues Cafe with me, Mr. Debo. Reverend Al Sharpton from 12 until 3. We're listening to you, and we'll get it right together. And thank you for listening to the all-new 860 WNOV and 106.5 FM, The Voice.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
Are you ready to make a lasting impression? Look no further than Great Impressions Graphics and Printing. With over 25 years of excellence in the industry, we specialize in delivering top-notch printing solutions tailored to your corporate needs. Business cards, brochures, banners, annual reports, apparel, and promotional items. Our state-of-the-art technology ensures unmatched quality and precision. Call 414-536-7646 or visit greatimpress.com today to learn more. Trust Great Impressions to exceed your expectations and elevate your brand to new heights.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
The next election is Tuesday, April 2nd. And as we know, elections have consequences. Not being informed about election dates, candidates, and the issues have consequences. And the price we pay can be costly. On Saturday, March 23rd, the Executive Committee of the Community Brainstorming Conference invites you to their Spring Candidates Forum to hear from candidates on the ballot at various levels of government. Attend this informative program at St. Matthew's CME Church, 2944 North 9th Street. Again, on March 23rd. Never a charge to attend. Continental breakfast served at 8 a.m. Program starts at 9 a.m. You can also join online by visiting communitybrainstormingconference.org.
Black history is something to appreciate, celebrate, and participate. Play Ode is a mobile app that streams America's best Black-owned radio stations and podcasts from across the country. ODE stands for Our Digital Entertainment. Play Ode features music and entertainment for us and by us. Listen to WNOV The Voice Milwaukee on the Play Ode app. Elevate your radio listening and participate in supporting Black radio. Download PLAYODE or log on to odeaudio.com for info and insight.
Milwaukee. Guess who's back? It's your man, Kevin Buchanan. Inviting you to join me each and every Friday night for the Friday Night Jukebox Party from 9 p.m. till midnight. I'll hit you with a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and of course, some of this. Each and every Friday night, it's the Friday Night Jukebox Party. From 9 p.m. to midnight, join yours truly, Kevin Buchanan, exclusively right here on 860 AM and 106.5 FM. WNOV, The Voice. WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee. Inside Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
I think it's going a little more of that. I saw your head stop. Oh, look at his fingers are going. Look. See, now I go do a Ruby. He really enjoys the funk, flavor.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice, and we're inside the Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce moment. Yeah, we hooked that up.
You just keep going. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Ruben Hopkins. Because we got Ruben Harper.
You about to give him a couple extra.
Yeah, we'll give him
Ruben Hernandez.
Ruben Hernandez. And of course, Miss Trinity.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Miss Trinity. How are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here with you all this morning.
It's always good to see you.
You as well.
What do you do there at the Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce?
So I'm the digital marketing manager at the Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce. So just growing their social presence, handling their Instagram, Facebook. So if you see informative events, resources we have going on, email campaigns, just highlighting different things we have, that's me. So, yeah.
You have a very diverse in terms of age and experience there, right?
Yeah. I think our youngest person is 23 or 24, and our oldest person is 70.
Okay.
Right at 70. Yeah. So we try to make sure that people are in a position to learn something.
So I know you brought me in some information here. What was the first year of these diverse business assistant grant? How long has this program been in place?
Since 2021.
Since 2021.
Yeah.
And am I looking at this total right? $73 million has been distributed across the state.
Mm-hmm. And most of it in Milwaukee County.
Most of it's in Milwaukee County.
Milwaukee County.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why people ask a lot of times about the money and who all got money and how much money people got, and because there's nothing like uninformed voters, right? And so sometimes when I listen to people and I realize how uninformed they are, I remember a few years ago I said basically voters are stupid, right? And I was told, well, you can't call voters stupid. I was like, okay, you got to call them uninformed, right? Because when people vote against their own interests, or when I was listening to the lady saying, still, just yesterday, she's talking about how the election was stolen from Donald Trump. And I was like, how do you still believe that? You know, with all the, at some point, you have to be able to understand how you get to proof, right? So when people ask me about the money we got and what we're doing with the money, I have receipts for everything that we do, that we've done. I have hundreds of businesses that will step up and say, yes, I've been to that boot camp, and yes, I've been to their third Thursday event, or yes, I've been to that Black and Diverse showcase, right? I can prove what we've been able to do to improve the Black business climate in Wisconsin, because we have to make up for generations of neglect. Our Black business leadership, if I ask you today, where's the Black business leadership at outside of what the Wisconsin Black Chamber, most people can't tell you. And it bothers me that most people can't tell me, because of I know the history of the African American Chamber and the Business Council and all the Minority Chamber, all these chambers that were supposed to be representing the Black business community. But I still see businesses making the same mistakes over and over again, and that has to change. If we're ever going to see our community grow, the Black business community has to change, because the Black business community has a responsibility for the culture that you see. So when you begin to see culture as a measure, most of the time that is sponsored by whatever Black business is available to sponsor it, right? So when you see stuff like, so let's use Juneteenth for example. And I know I'm treading on thin ice, but that's what I do. So when you look at some of the performances and some of the acts that you see down in Juneteenth, you can tell that it was sponsored by a barbershop, a beauty salon, right? You can tell the type of business that sponsored the performance based on what they're doing in the performance, right? And you might say that's not representative of our community, but it's representative of that business that sponsored it, right? And so we have a responsibility that we don't often see. A lot of times I talk about how German businesses make sure that German Fest is successful every year. You know, um, um, the French make sure that Bastille Days is successful every year, right? White businesses make sure that Summerfest is successful every year. State Fair, again, their businesses get behind their festivals and their culture and say, this is our culture, right? We're the only ones that many times don't sponsor our own events. And then when we do sponsor an event, it's normally wherever that disposable income is, and it's normally not in the place where we'd like it to be. So the argument is always, where are we going as a culture, right? When you start talking to people about the civil rights movement, when you start talking to people about all of these things, all of this change that is supposed to be taking place, where is it, and how do you reconnect it back to where we should be going as a people? And which is why you often hear people say Black people don't have an agenda. is because it feels like every man for himself.
And as you were sitting there, and some of these communities are smaller, more, more. I think the other thing is some of these communities bring more money to the table, but we seem to struggle sometimes with collective thinking. Now, on some dumb stuff, we can, you can, but this idea of when do we do, I don't know what principle this is in Kwanzaa, cooperative.
Collective, is that Kujajaliga?
Yeah.
Collective work and responsibility.
Right, that we see ourselves as a collective.
Right.
I think sometimes theoretically people feel that way, but practically it's not the case.
No, it's not the case. I'm still waiting for, like, for example, if you look at this list of the Black organizations that got money, right? Now, again, most of this money came into Milwaukee County. But if just look at the Black organizations that got money, and you look at how many meetings we've had to say, okay, we've got this money. How can we work together to best move the entire community forward, right? We've yet to have that meeting, right? Not in business terms, not in political terms, not in any kind of terms have we sat down and say, here's the best way for us to move our community forward. And again, that's why you get back to the feeling of every man for himself. You run your organization and leave me alone to run mine. Right. And that's the way that's the way it feels. Right. So I often remind people when the president came to Milwaukee in December and he came to our space, one of the first things he said to me was that you did with the money what we wanted everybody to do with the money. And I was like, okay, thank you, but that wasn't like in the when we had to fill out the paperwork to get the grant. Everybody put in what they thought was important, right? Everybody wasn't as aggressive as we've been with the funding. But
you say aggressively using it or aggressive trying to get it?
Or using it.
Okay.
Right, aggressive using it. And what that means is that people did stuff. People are doing things, but you gotta kind of guess what it is that they're doing, or they're doing things where what they put in place is more stringent than the bounce back grant was. Right, everybody was after the bounce back grant, right? Because this was all you had to do in order to get the grant for $10,000, right? But there's new stuff out there now, but the requirements are more stringent and less people will qualify to get it. But the idea is that understand we have to spend this money by December 31st, 2024, right? There's no, you can get a possible extension, but if that happens, that means that you're probably not being really effective in getting this money out the door.
When it seems to me in this instance, I'm just looking at this list, and so let me sound a little streety here for a moment. It looks like everybody was eating. So the fact that everybody's eating, shouldn't it be easier then for people to come to the table? The fact that everybody is eating?
You would think so.
Okay, so what do you think are some of the impediments of that happening?
I think our biggest challenge is Black leadership. I think Black leadership is so confused. I think Black leadership is scared. I think Black leadership is playing it safe, and it's like if we do too much, white people are going to get upset that we're making too
Lord,
much.
we don't want to get white people upset. Lord.
White people are going to get upset that we're making too much progress, right? Because every time anything is done for anyone who's a person of color, then somebody white has to come out against it, right? And when they come out against it, it's like, look, they're giving all the money to those black people over there, and you don't have a job, right? So we're scared of stuff like that.
Okay.
Then we're scared to confront people that we grew up idolizing, right? So if we grew up idolizing the Coggses and grew up idolizing, all of these people who are been in the community for years, not that they haven't done what they could do, but we don't want to challenge them now to do more. We don't want to challenge them now to say, hey, whatever the civil rights movement did for us, it doesn't make a difference if we don't have the resources where we can start executing things in our own community. And now that we have opportunity to execute things in our own community, I'm wondering, what are we sitting back waiting for? And how do we make sure that our community understands why we're in the condition that we're in and how much of that we actually control? Because we actually control a lot more of it than we think we do.
Hey, Carl, do me a favor. Could hit green button here for me? Pull it up. Thank you. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
When I turned the radio on, I heard you speaking about the MPS referendum, and I don't know if that's okay if I speak about that, or are you on another topic?
Well, actually, we're with the Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce. Can she make a comment?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your concern?
Oh, okay. Anyway, my name is Beverly Williams, and I am the director of a nonprofit, Community Together Voices of Milwaukee's Children. And I'm letting the community know the reason why we are imploring them to vote no on the referendum. Many in the MTA and MPS want to say, oh, it's the Republicans. No, I'm a Democrat, straight, true blue Democrat, and I'm voting against it because of the fact that MPS had a surplus of funds from 2021 into 2023. And during that surplus of funds, they underfunded Black schools on the north side for teaching positions 3 years straight, for $18 million in 2021, for $31 million in 2022. This year, they underfunded Black schools on the north side by $74 million. And this is with a surplus and a $1.2 billion budget. So we need more equity, okay, on the segregated Black side of town. You don't take all the money and you give it to the South side segregated schools and discuss building a multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art school on the South side while you're depriving Black students on the north side of town. That's the reason why we vote no. The Baker-Tilly audit, which was done in 2020, when Superintendent Posey came on the scene, okay, although he'd been there more than 15 years before, the Baker-Tilly audit was an audit that showed severe discrepancies in MPS, and the media did not report it, okay? And so now here we go again with another referendum of $252 million that will not be used as they say it will be used. They say, oh, we want to give them art, music, and gym. That's a lie, because they did not do it with the COVID Easter Fund. They did not do it with the $87 million referendum that they added $30 million more to that citizens do not know about, okay? And they're not going to do it with these millions. It's not going to save NPS.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
How do you know all this?
Well, for the last 2 years, my organization, we have been the ones who've been on the news asking for the resignation of Superintendent Posey. We have been the ones protesting outside of MPS. We have been the ones attending all the board meetings and protesting, asking for more accountability. And some of us are former educators and some of us are parents.
Okay, and how many board members take the same position as you take?
Well, right now, Aisha Carr is one of the board members that seems to be going in our direction, and also Director Jackson.
But you understand that most of the black schools are in her district, right?
Yes.
So it's fitting for her to be saying no, because most of these schools are in her district.
Most of the schools are, but you have to understand it. Yes, most of the schools are in her district, and if the citizens would have attended board meetings, they would see that she has been trying to help those schools and has been voted down by a fraction of the school board that does not have our best interest. Okay, so there's a lot involved in that, and I'm sure. I mean, you can ask her yourself. But she was also the one who had brought up the plan, which is one of the reasons why we started supporting her, because she brought up the plan to provide more mental health services and kind of a new paradigm for MPS to follow. And the media just kept wanting to focus on 4-day school week, which it is being done across the nation, but that was not what her plan entailed.
Okay.
So
okay. I get it. I know exactly how to answer this. All right. Thank you for your call. We really appreciate it. But this is exactly, so when it's like going up to Madison and making with the Black Caucus, right? There's not enough Democrats to change what the Republicans are doing, right? There's not enough people on the school board to change what this sister is talking about. Because if they're going to vote for it, they're going to vote for it. So what they need to do is change the board, right? You can get rid of Posey all you want, but if the rest of the board is still going to vote with whoever replaces him for the same thing, it's not going to make any difference. It's got to be about being informed as a parent, having school board directors who will fight the good fight, like I see as Aisha doing. Shout out. And making that change. So the next time there's school board elections, you want to make sure you get people in place who are going to do the job that you want done, who are going to replace the people that you want replaced. Other than that, you're calling radio shows. I get it, but we can't do, other than the people that are listening, hearing you, right? And other than the people listening who are going to the polls and voting no, right? If more people do that, that's fine. But ultimately, you have to change the school board. Just like I think every election cycle, everyone should always have an opponent, right? I don't care who you are. I don't care whether I support you or not. Everyone should have an opponent. And if you can't stand for what you did while you were alderman or county supervisor or state representative, then you lose.
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, okay.
It should work that way, but
if you have an informed electorate, you lose.
Well, let me get it, but it's interesting. We have these conversations, and they should be as fact-based as possible, because what we're talking about, a tax increase, is fact, right? You feel about it, but it's real, okay? If they pass a referendum, you're going to feel that. So with that said, MPS's budget is not $2 billion. MPS's budget is $1.5 billion. Now you go, oh, what's the difference? It's a big difference. $500 million is a lot of money. I'm listening, and I have to fact check one of the ads that's running in opposition to this, talking about how MPS wasted $1 billion. Wow. Okay, if that's the case, then we have a level of incompetency, right, that's criminal. All right, because if you're telling me that you lost the equivalent of 3/4 of a year's budget, that's concerning. There are people out there who don't want to do any more taxes. They're opposed to taxes, period, right? And then I think, and I said this to Mr. Morgan, the people in the middle of all of this are the parents and the students. They're the collateral damage in all of this, because you have the business community who has a sense of what they think public education should or should not be. And then you have MTEA, who's looking at the interest of their members, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have other ancillary groups out there who are, we're doing all of this, and guess what? MPS is still failing. So I don't know if we should have a conversation like that conversation you're saying that we should have among Black business groups, those folks, but people have their own interest. Mm-hmm. And then they say they're doing it for the kids. They're not doing it for the kids. They're doing it for their own interest, right? I would wonder how many MTEA teachers who have kids are even in MPS, right? So I asked the question, how can you work for Coke and drink Pepsi? You know, because that's what we have. And this is not new. This has been happening now. If my mom had to send me to private school over 50 years ago because of her dissatisfaction with MPS, it's only gotten worse. And I hate to say that because and I don't want to be, so I think, and then to get back to a point that you were making, there is also not only the uninformed voter, there's the ill-informed voter. Hmm. That's the woman you're talking about who's saying that the election was stolen. Okay, and then even because I took logic twice in college, I got a pretty good sense of logic. Okay, so the only race, I did it twice. I had to do it twice. The only race that was stolen was Donald Trump. Nobody else, no Republican, no Democrat, everybody else who either got elected, not elected, he's the only one. So the fact that you were able to run with that lie, there's something else going on there, because what people are attracted to who are supporting Donald Trump is the feeling that they're going to have access to power. And we will sell our souls. Yes, we will, for power. There's a word, brother was talking to me, and he was running out these words. So I got another word, craven. People, and you see this. I mean, it's all about the power. You're listening to Community Voice. We're inside the Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce moment. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Contact Tax Relief Helpers for details and restrictions.
Attention, anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this, because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, levies, or other hostile measures by the IRS. Call Tax Relief Helpers right now at 800-681-8471. Tax Relief Helpers will provide you the maximum protection afforded by law.
I got behind on my taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-681-8471 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, or other aggressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-681-8471. 800-681-8471. 800-681-8471.
On April 2nd, Milwaukee Public Schools is asking you to vote for a permanent 30% property tax increase. At a time when Milwaukee families are feeling the pinch financially, it's the wrong time for a tax increase. Students and families deserve accountability. We need a comprehensive plan from MPS with real solutions, not just a new tax. Vote no to 30% on April 2nd. Paid for by CFC Action Fund as an in-kind contribution to an...
The Trump economy was a disaster for Black America. He prioritized the wealthy and big business, not us, giving them tax breaks while we got left behind. Under Trump, hundreds of thousands of Black Americans lost health insurance in the middle of a pandemic. And don't forget the division, the violence, and disrespect we faced while he was in charge. Now, He's coming after our voting rights. And if he's president again, Trump vowed to be a, quote, dictator who would get revenge. We can't go back. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are working hard for Black America. They sent $1,400 cash relief checks when they were needed most. Our wages are up. We've got millions of new good-paying jobs, and the cost of insulin is capped at $35 for seniors. There's more to do, but it's clear that on the economy, Black America is getting ahead with President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Increase in taxes while families are paying more for everything from gas to groceries is wrong. Milwaukee voters should oppose increase in property taxes by nearly 30% in order to provide increased funding yet again to Milwaukee Public Schools. They've already wasted nearly $1 billion in new taxpayer funding, and now they want more? They don't even have a plan on how they'll spend it. Enough is enough. Milwaukee voters should just say no.
Paid for by Enough is Enough. Vote no.
2024 Soul Stirring Gospel Easter Bash, March 31st, sponsored by the New Pitts Mortuary, located at 2031 West on Capitol Drive. Pick your tickets up 45 in advance, 50 at the door. On my way home, the Captain Spirituals. Oh, the gospel for he's blessing me. I feel it in my feet right now. Baby, you better meet me there. Brunch at 1, the show begins at 4 p.m. The fabulous Lucky Brothers, my soul is a witness. I feel it down on the inside. Be right there at Abundant Faith, located at 7830 West Good Hope Road. Oh, Willie Rogers, we're going to a meeting on that day. I see them marching down the street. Come on in from everywhere, northwest, south. Oh, it's going down. There's a leak in this old building, Bishop Neil Robeson, and my soul has got to move. Don't you miss it. Call the New Pitts Mortuary 414-447-6000. It's going down at the Soul Stirring Gospel Easter Bash. Oh, I gotta stop right there, Brian. Back in top. My feet got light. I feel myself flying right about now. Come on now. You don't want to miss it. Be right there in the house. It's going down. Come on now, Tiffany Jerry. Everybody know he's my friend. Oh, you don't want to miss it. You be right there. That Soul Stirring Gospel Easter Bash. That food is going to be yummy, yummy, yummy. I'll tell you, come on now, Reverend R.L. Bush and the Revived Son. Put the weight on me. Oh, not that kind of weight, because that food gonna be so scrumptious. Pick your chickens up at the New Pitts Mortuary. Tickets are also available at Nick Avani's in Mayfair Mall on the 2nd floor.
You're listening to WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee. Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM.
The shadow of your smile.
Oh, you didn't do your right voice. Look, usually you be like, yes, we returned.
Miss Trinity.
Talk to me.
No, you talk to me. What we got going on?
So it's a busy week at the chamber. We got a few events lined up for you. So starting today we have our third Thursday networking event featuring the pitch competition and specialty tonight.
Winter spoons.
What? And a karaoke challenge if you're up to it. But you can come out, get informed with us, learn about some more resources, initiatives we have going on. You know, you can support our retail and service vendors, Black-owned businesses here. And also you can connect with local entrepreneurs in the city for sure. So come on out. And if you want to pitch, get there between 5 o'clock and 5:15 to sign up. And that's from 5 to 9 at Rise and Grind on MLK Drive. And then tomorrow you can come on out to the chamber, our headquarters on 29th and Valete, for our mayoral fundraiser supporting Mayor Cavalier Johnson and his reelection. So we just talked about being an ill-informed and an uninformed voter. So we encourage you to come out, learn about leadership in the community. And we'll also be giving tours of our building, and you can see what we have to come next in the near future there. So, and then of course, Saturday we have the gathering. Shout out to 98.3 down at Potawatomi Casino.
We're at WNOV.
I know we at WNOV, but
so we don't shout out the other people.
you got to show love. You know, that's
You
what's
got to
about,
show, but we can't show that kind of
collective
love.
economics.
Right. Okay.
But come out to the gathering and show us love then, and other Black entrepreneurs and businesses. It's around 60 plus vendors, a lot going on, entertainment, fashion shows, and we're also giving away free tickets. So if you follow our social media handles, our Instagram, WI Black Chamber, and then also come out to our third Thursday event. You can also win some prizes, get some Black restaurant coupons, and tickets to the gathering as well.
You have a cohort this time? Yep. Who's in the cohort this year?
Come on, Ruben. We got Delicious Bites. Of course, we got Backyard Brothers Barbecue. We got Mikasa Sioux Cafe for sure. We got Tropic, Love Tropic, Twisted Plants, Twisted Vibes, either or.
I think that's 6.
We got somebody else amazing.
And y'all got Perkins Boys again, don't you?
We love Perkins Boys. You can always use our Black restaurant coupons if you have them to Perkins Boys for sure throughout the whole year.
Those my cousins.
Shout out to Perkins
Those
Boys.
my peoples. Okay. What else we got? Is that?
April 5th coming up, we have First Friday networking event with National Executive Network. So, you know, you can also come connect, get some new connections, learn some information, shout out your business, promote yourself, things of that sort. Come network for sure. And then a Black winemakers group, April 27th. You can sign up and get tickets now. It'll be a fun day trip. It's a one-time fee, and we take you there and back twice to make the ingredients. Yeah, we're taking you both times.
Where?
So a winery in Chicago.
Oh, okay. You get me on the bus. That's how we got over here. We get younger and take a trip. Where? Don't worry. We're going to take a trip. Next thing you know, we're here. No, so you going to Chicago?
Yes.
This is the second year? Yeah. Because
actually the
third year.
The,
Okay.
Last year was our first group that we went after the pandemic.
Did you all have and this could have been either before, did you have like a Black brewery at one of your events? I'm
no
from Chicago.
No, the Joy Love Club is a Black winery in Chicago.
Okay.
But the winemaking is a lot of fun
because you actually get to kind of do your own.
Yeah, you get to pick the flavor and the alcohol content and your labeling and the whole process.
And your own bottle. You can pick your own bottle. You can order your bottle, bring it in, and seal it yourself. So it's a real cool experience.
Are you eligible?
Am I eligible?
Yeah. Are you old enough?
I get what he was saying. He always I'm usually the youngest in the room, but yes, I am eligible. 21 plus.
21 plus.
For sure.
No, I always appreciate you, Trinity. I love your spirit. And what a great addition to Wisconsin Black. But yeah, I mean, you are kind of young looking.
I mean, I'm young. That's good. So when I get older, I guess I'll still have
be looking young.
Yeah.
Somebody one day, one of my birthdays, they said, "Man, you don't look a day over 60." I thought, wow. All right, seeing that I'm 45. Anything else, you all?
You can stay tuned May 11th, Mommy and Me, the fitness walk.
Okay.
For sure. Enjoy the breeze, fitness, connect with your family, support Black entrepreneurs as always. That's the forefront of everything we do. So just make sure that you connect with us. Stay tuned of what we have coming out. Again, follow us on our socials, Instagram, WI Black Chamber, and enter the raffle as well.
Let me thank Ruben. Let me thank Trinity for Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce. Good work as always. Appreciate you.
Same with WNOV. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
You too, partner.
Appreciate it. Caller, welcome to the program. you going to take a break? Okay. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Hey, this is School Board Director Daryl Jackson, who represents District 3 for MPS.
MPS School Board Director Aisha Carr, representing District 4.
Tune in this Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. as we discuss
all things MPS referendum and as we talk about the state of emergency in education in the city of Milwaukee.
The next election is Tuesday, April 2nd. And as we know, elections have consequences. Not being informed about election dates, candidates, and the issues have consequences. And the price we pay can be costly. On Saturday, March 23rd, the Executive Committee of the Community Brainstorming Conference invites you to their Spring Candidates Forum to hear from candidates on the ballot at various levels of government. Attend this informative program at St. Matthew's CME Church, 2944 North 9th Street. Again, on March 23rd. Never a charge to attend. Continental breakfast served at 8 a.m. Program starts at 9 a.m. You can also join online by visiting communitybrainstormingconference.org.
Make it a real Mad March with a playoff payout at Potawatomi. Every week, you could score your share of $100,000 in cash and free play. Play this March for drawing entries. Win each Thursday. Plus, the prizes refresh every week for even more winners. The playoff payout at Potawatomi, Milwaukee. It's anyone's game. For more details, visit paysbig.com/payout. Must be 21 and a club member to play.
Hey Milwaukee, this is your favorite DJ, DJ L Boogie, and I just joined the family over here at WNOV, the all-new 106.5 FM, 860 AM, and I'm going to be rocking the Saturday Mix Show. So check me out every Saturday right here on the station, 9 p.m. to midnight. Every Saturday, it's the Mix Show with
DJ L Boogie.
Turn me up.
Hello, I am attorney Coral Plus, and I'm inviting you to join me for a new show here at WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM. You asked the name of the show? It's Money Talks with Attorney Coral, and it'll air each and every Thursday from 11 a.m. till 12 noon. We'll discuss financial literacy and what part Columbia Savings and Loan can play in your journey to financial freedom. Remember to join us each and every Thursday from 11 till noon, right here at 860 AM and 106.5 FM.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee. You're inside Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Keith and Keon.
Good morning.
You know, first, if this referendum on the school board, man, it's just getting a lot of, you learn more and more every time, and people keep adding information. But one thing I think is grossly unfair, and you can see the unfairness of it because of the deficit and what's going on. When people do you wrong, it shows up. It's a line in the sand showing you went across it. Now, number one, it's not fair to test kids that are in MPS when you have choice schools that are getting the cream of the crop of the kids in the Milwaukee area in these schools. And I think when you give them that choice money, and some kids get caught up in the crossfire, because one thing about it, when you go to that choice school and you meet with them, parent participation is paramount. You have to show up. Somebody better show up to participate. If your kid is disruptive, you can go over, I'm not going to give no names, but I can go over to the church that I'm a part of, has a school to it. It is so orderly when they're passing, going to lunch, when they're going to different classes. It is in control. You go to some other places, it's like mayhap. When you don't, and then you could have 400 students that are 3.99, and you could have 100 that are 0.000. What's going to happen to all that score? It's going to bring it down, right? It's not fair that they should keep that money, keep the kids out of choice school. If you don't make it through the first semester and you get that money should come back to MPS. And that does not happen. And if you're telling me, okay, we're going to do so much for this, we're going to do this for your school and do this for your school, and then all of a sudden it don't happen, who's held accountable? So I don't know about all this stuff. These are just questions that I'm a lay person that I'm just raising. And then my next thing with the Chamber of Commerce, years ago, when it was up there on Capitol, I think it was just the one.
Which chamber?
So now
Who's the oldest, the African American or the Wisconsin?
Well, for clarification, there was the Minority Chamber of Commerce. Then a group of them broke off and formed the African American Chamber, and a group of them broke off and formed the Business Council.
They're worse than the churches. They not. Okay,
like good Baptist to me.
So go ahead.
Okay, so my thing is, when you split up and break off, you confuse things. If we were now these split offs, does it deal with different facets of business?
No.
What is the break? Who's getting the most of the money in the bank? See, this is what I look at. We don't trust each other, and we don't do business very well. If we had a strong unit, how much does it cost to be a member of the Chamber of Commerce?
Of the Wisconsin Black Chamber, it's $100 a year.
Okay. Now, what if I don't have a business and I want to invest in one of these chambers? So at the end of it, so when you're in, what is the endowment of these different chambers?
We don't. Well, we just formed one ourselves, but generally there is no endowment.
Okay, that's my next thing. I like to be a part of something where you have, just like Trump, he's telling people, millions of people, send $4 and I'll be able to pay my whatever this deal with his tax problem. Okay, you have a lot of us that are saying that CYD building and all the buildings up on Port Washington are just boarded up with nothing, that are willing to put in money to help make a difference in our Black community. What is the Chamber of Commerce doing to help us be strong like that? And when you talk about the different festivals, that is so critical. For 25 years, and I'm talking way back, I grew up with the African World Festival. It was awesome because we had smart people that were running it.
Well, you had OIC that was funded. OIC was primarily behind African World Festival. When that money left, and then Summerfest decided they weren't going to continue to put money behind it, it was left to Black people to fund their own festivals. But our Black business community doesn't see that as their responsibility.
Wow. Really? Because,
Really?
I love the fact, and I'm going to tell everybody can knock Milwaukee all they want to. Milwaukee is a great place to live. It was a great place to live, where you could take your children to so many free events. To the museum, you have a free day. Out to the domes, you have a free day. And the parks were really great. On Sunday evenings, you can go out to Washington Park, which I hear now is a disaster because there's so much going on there.
No, actually, but can I say this? That's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true about Washington Park.
Yeah,
I
right.
drive through Washington Park. I'm going to tell you, especially on the weekends, folks are just out there. It is not, They had an incident on the basketball court a few years ago.
Yep, I remember that.
But other than that, I mean, you see people out
And
there
that-
chilling. And that's why I'm
it's
such
a
a supporter of
beautiful
the
park.
parks, because I do see people taking advantage of the parks. I know I'm right over by Center Street Park. People are on, but Washington Park, that there's been some incidents where over, I think in that play area a couple of years ago, someone got shot. But when you talk about where people are picnicking and it's
Now,
pretty
I'm gonna
peaceful.
tell you, Keith, it was a couple of things that happened when people were out there picnicking and they heard some gunshots, and one part of the group was putting the food out, the other part was taking it back to the car. Okay,
right.
So once they hear of an incident, it hurts the park. But that park is laid out so beautifully.
It used to be the
then let me
zoo.
tell you, I beg your pardon?
That used to be the zoo.
Right.
That's why it's
And then-
that's why it's so expansive and laid out. That was the zoo.
Okay. And then the next thing about our ethnic festival, that was the cream of the crop. That's when you got to learn about your Germans, your Hispanics, your Indians, African Americans. And we saw different groups coming that was not of that ethnicity, but they were there to learn more about that culture, okay? And so now we're not there. So why wouldn't the business people feel that here you are, you're black, and you don't feel like you're a part of that? I'm confused.
I think but we have had Black Arts, right? Black Arts has kind of replaced what was.
Yeah, we had a lot of theater.
Say that again.
There's a lot of theater. You know, the experience that I have at the Wisconsin Black Chamber is that for generations, the disconnect between successful businesses and what businesses need to be focused on and where the money is has been disconnected. So we focus on three main things when we do our boot camp. Three main things, but about 5 or 6 altogether, right? But the three main things we focus on are personal credit, business credit, and your financial finance and accounting for your business. But then once that is in order, if you don't know where the money is, if you don't understand contracting, if you don't understand your market, if you don't understand hub zones and opportunity zones, and now Justice 40 zones, they have over $400 billion program to go into Black and brown communities around the country. But if you're in a Justice 40 zone, you're going to be able to qualify for that money. But if you're not ready, again, the money's going to go to the usual people that it goes to. It's going to go to the United Way. It's going to go to, the folks that have been looking after you Negroes for years. It's going to go to them and let them hand it out rather than have businesses that are ready to receive this money. And
okay, I have another question. So when people come to you, and they should come to you, the Chamber of Commerce, what do I need to do to go in business? What resources do you have to help them?
That's why they should come to our boot camp. Our boot camp is every first and third Saturday of the month. It's a free boot camp, and when you come, we talk to you about understanding those fundamental things. You know, let me give you one example. When we looked at this HUD Section 3 businesses, now this HUD is Housing and Urban Development, but it's the lowest hanging fruit for being certified to do business with the city, the county, or the state. When we looked at the number of businesses that were listed on HUD's website for Black-owned businesses in the state of Wisconsin, this was statewide. Now, this has been in place since 1968. Since 1968, there were only 7 Black businesses listed. So all those years that went by where people were complaining about not getting contracts and people were complaining about how the city does business or the county does business, housing authority does business, none of those businesses were even listed to be available to do the work. And so that I blame on the Black business leadership. because for Black business leadership to let that linger that long for those many years,
Right.
something is very wrong with the Black business leadership in this state.
Okay, and that was going to be my next question. When we're saying contracts, city contracts, when they're saying you have to have minorities there, well, a Chamber of Commerce is where you would go to find out who is in construction, who is available to they should be coming to you. But if you're saying they're not even registered, where are they getting their information from? So I'm puzzled. All these break-offs, we need to really sit down and regroup and pull it together.
I agree.
Thank you so much for listening to my.
I appreciate you. You're listening to. We're gonna just go out. Okay. Get the last call. All right, caller one to the program.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. I'm gonna make this real. I appreciate both calls there. My dialogue friend, truly dialogue, and the call before her. But good morning there, Mr. Candidate, if you're a candidate or whatever whatever your title is. But Tyrone W. speaking. The lady before my dialogue friend there, when she mentioned the surplus, it appears to me, and you may have to come back because the answer may not. But there seems to be too many hands in the cookie jar. So we need to have the mayor, the comptroller, if the surplus is true to what it is, and they're still talking about, well, we can't do this with this building, this building, this building, this building. But the big numbers there, they're talking about the money that's earmarked to several amount of billions. And then they get a surplus, and then they're having a hard time selling buildings. Somebody is BSing somewhere and milking us as the taxpayer, and we can't get it right there because there's too many hands in the cookie jar. So I'll leave it there. Come back, and then we'll get on it some more there. But chop it up as best you can. Thank you.
All right, T. All right, just again, some of the things that we have going on at the chamber, just in case some folks missed it.
So tonight we have a Third Thursday networking event that's at Rise and Grind Cafe, 2337 North MLK Drive. Tomorrow we have our mayoral fundraiser at our chamber on 29th and Valete. That's from 5 to 8 p.m. This Saturday we have the gathering going on. Come out, support Black entrepreneurs, connect.
Where's the gathering?
The gathering is at Potawatomi Casino Hotel.
Do they need to register for that?
They do need to buy a ticket. You can go to the link in 98.3 bio, or you can connect with us on our social media. It's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. all day. We're giving away free tickets at our event tonight, and also we're starting a raffle later today on Instagram, so follow us and check it out.
All right.
Thank you.
Ruben, Trinity, thank you. Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce minute/moment.
We'll go with that. We appreciate you.
Keon, thank you. Dig it. Let me thank Mr. Okay, I got another show. Oh, was there something I didn't know? Was there a meeting?
Yeah.
What you got planned when you're not here anymore? Hey, oh, you didn't hear?
Where is your faith?
Let me thank Mr. Coleston Morgan and all the good folks who have been part of the program today. Good Lord willing, Creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place in peace.
Open eyes that we see to follow thee, Lord. Grant us thy loving peace. Let all dissension cease.